Welcome to the dynamics of everyday life, where we demystify some tricky concepts and get to know ourselves a little bit better. Welcome back to the show, everyone. How are you? I'm fine. This is possibly one of the most overused phrases in the English language. It's verbal chewing gum. There are words there, but anything of nutritional value? Absolutely not. But it has become accepted and expected behaviour. A social shorthand, if you will. But is it a reflection of how we feel? No, I'm not sure that it is. It's a decision, and mostly a defensive one. Now, before we get into the technical part of this, is this pattern of dialogue something that happens in your inner circle? Probably not. It is never the conversation opener between me and my best friends. These range from slightly hysterical, overexcited whoops of joy, maybe when I've secured John Barrowman meet and greet concert tickets, to bursting into tears at St Pancras International because it's all been a bit much and I've been holding it together until my Paris trip. Definitely nothing fine about either of those options. But for people who aren't in your inner circle, chances are they won't see that side of you. At least not to start with. They're likely to get the "I'm fine" response. So what's going on here? Well, it is a classic defensive manoeuvre. We can minimise what's actually going on for us in that moment, thinking, it's not that bad. Don't make it a thing. We've also got the classic denial, always a favourite. If I say I'm fine, then maybe I will be. Almost a move along the bus please, nothing to see here moment. And then there's avoidance. I cannot get into this right now. Or with you. And you know what? Sometimes it's completely appropriate. Not every Tesco queue or school gate interaction needs to turn into a therapeutic deep dive. And not everyone deserves that level of access to your inner world. So, in some moments, I'm fine absolutely does what it needs to. But if I'm fine is your default setting, regardless of what's actually going on, then it stops being social shorthand. It stops being about what's true for you and becomes organised around what the other person can handle. To use a phrase that's very popular at the moment, and I'm not sure how I feel about it, but maybe that's for another episode, it starts to be emotional self-abandonment. A little bit brutal as a description of a social interaction, but it's true. And there's another layer to this as well, because sometimes fine doesn't mean fine at all. It means, I don't have the words for this yet, or I don't have the energy, or I don't want to explain this, or I know it's not okay, but I can't quite say that out loud. I know that in my world, if I say that something's fine, it is very unlikely to be fine. And the people who know me well, really know me, they know that. Think of it like a holding position. It's not really honesty, but it's not a complete lie either. It's what I've got. And then there's the bit that happens on the other side of it. When we ask someone how they are, we aren't always asking for the truth. We're being polite, probably quite British in these moments. What we're asking for is for something that we can manage, that fits in nicely with our day. What we want is a neat answer, maybe a socially acceptable level of vulnerability, but really not too much, don't overwhelm us, and something we actually know what to do with. Because the moment that someone answers honestly, well, actually, I'm not great, we have a response. That flicker of, right, this wasn't what I was expecting. This has escalated. Maybe even, do I have the time for this? Do I want to be the person who handles this? And what do I do in this moment? We say we want honesty, but what we often mean is edited honesty. Now, when this happens, it starts to get a bit revealing, if you're willing to look. When someone moves away from, I'm fine, into, honestly, I'm not having the best time and I'm struggling a bit, watch what happens next, both in other people and in yourself. Some people will lean in. They will genuinely want to know what's going on for the other person and care for them. Although that doesn't need to exist together. Let's be honest, you can be interested and not necessarily care. Maybe there's a bit of nosiness going on. Brutal, yes, but also, if we're honest, a bit accurate at times. Some people freeze. They don't know what to do. Not everyone is trained as a coach or therapist or knows about active listening, understandably. Some people immediately try to fix it, and I get the intention, I really do. But there's nothing more annoying than telling someone about what's going on for you, and then they race in and try to smooth it all over with ideas of where you're going wrong. And some people disappear, emotionally, if not physically. And that tells you something. Not just about them and where they are, but also about the relational space between you. Because now we're no longer in polite social exchange. We're in something real. And not everyone has the capacity or willingness for that. And once you've seen this, it can be hard. Because you may have an idea of what the relationship is like between you. But this can change everything. Let's bring in one of my favourite cultural references here, Bridget Jones. I don't think that there's a woman of my generation who hasn't identified with her a tiny bit at one time or another. Bridget is basically the patron saint of I'm fine. She says that she's fine. She wants the world to believe that she's fine. But, reading her diary, we can see that she is very far from fine. Drinking Chardonnay and counting the calories to distract herself from just how not fine she is. And we laugh, because it's exaggerated. But, also, it's not that exaggerated. We love Bridget Jones, because in moments, we feel what it's like to be her and not be fine. So what do we do with this? Now, I'm not about to suggest that we all start emotionally unloading on every person who asks how we are. This would not be a good move. But there is something here about choice. Instead of I'm fine being an automatic response, we can ask ourselves, do I want to share here? Is this a safe enough space? Do I know how I actually feel? I mean, that's huge in itself and probably warrants its own episode. Because sometimes I'm fine isn't about hiding from other people. It's hiding from ourselves. So the next time someone asks you how you are, notice what happens. Do you check in with yourself? Or do you go straight to, I'm fine? And maybe, just maybe, every now and then you give a slightly more honest answer. Not performative honesty, not oversharing, just something that's real. Because it turns out that I'm fine isn't just a phrase, it's a pattern. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Dynamics of Everyday Life. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. As well as producing this podcast, The Dynamics of Everyday Life has lots more psychodynamic fun going on, and you can find out more at dynamicsofeveryday.life.